Welcome to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast, brought to you by the Wealthy Speaker School. This is the podcast dedicated to people who want to speak more as a way to build their income and grow their business. Hey, welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. I'm your host, Jane Atkinson. On this show, our goal is to help you build your dream speaking business. And today we're going to talk about using Vistage and video to do just that. We have Gair Maxwell with us here to discuss. Welcome, Gair.
Hey, Jane, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's so good to see you.
It's great to see you.
Coming on the show. Now we're starting out in video. We don't know how it's going to turn out, so we won't promise that we have video, but make sure you check the show notes in case the video is something that you can indeed watch instead of listen this time out. Now, Gair, tell us a little bit about your background and how you landed where you are today in your speaking business. Tell us about your journey.
That's a great question, Jane. So here's the Reader's Digest version.
Okay.
May 21st, 1999. A 20-year career blows up. It was terminated in 2 sentences on company letterhead.
Wow.
It was over. I came off the 12:30 news on CFQM radio, hauled into the office. There's the pink slip, and 20 years of broadcasting is over. Jane, I had no idea really what I was going to do. Within a week, I was broke, busted, on the unemployment line, no severance. I had this high-profile gig. And suddenly, I'm the guy on the morning show in that market. I've got TV shows, and suddenly there you are, humiliated, and you don't want anyone to recognize you. You don't even want to go to the grocery store.
Wow.
And like I say, a week later, unemployment office, and go home. And later that day, the dismissal story is right there on the front page of the only paper in a 2-station town back when they used to read the paper.
Yep.
And so I share that, and just so you know, even though you're just one of a number of senior guys being let go by a company opting for younger, cheaper talent, it doesn't make it any easier to swallow. It's the double hit. It's loss of income. It's loss of identity. And I really had no clue where I was going to end up. I had, Jane, and you'll so appreciate this given your background, I didn't even know there was a speaking industry.
Well, no, most people didn't.
No, but back then, and so my whole life was inside a radio booth or a TV studio. And in many ways, and I'm sure you can appreciate, and your viewers and listeners can appreciate, when you're in the media, you're really inside the bubble. You don't really know there's an outside world.
Right.
So the short story is, literally stumbled into soft skills business training, had no clue how the real world of business worked. And just kept plugging away. And in 2002, I met the dream client. There's no other way to describe it. Dream. He had 5 employees. He was doing $1.5 million a year in annual revenue. His product was interchangeable. We started doing this soft skills stuff together. It was sort of a Dale Carnegie knockoff type thing. And we plugged away. 2006, that's 4 years later. 2006, Jim and I stumbled onto a big idea. We had no idea, though, Jane, how big it would become.
What was this idea?
That we could change the whole business, not by product or pricing, but by telling a brand new story. And strategically, I'm just like I say, I just want to share with everyone so they know it's not like we were geniuses. We fell into it and then figured it out as we went. And so now that stands as it's one of the country's great small business success stories. Today, that same business, one location, 38 employees. This year, they will surpass the $50 million mark.
Wow.
So you got 20x, 30x growth, however you want to, I know people love that growth thing. And this is the real deal. And are you ready for it?
Yeah.
The story we changed was he became Jim Gilbert, Canada's huggable car dealer.
Jim Gilbert, Canada's huggable car dealer.
He's a used car guy in Fredericton, New Brunswick. And you could
Wow.
travel the entire planet and never find anything like this. To my friends right now, without visuals, it would be like imagining if Walt Disney himself was to create a used car lot, what would it look like? So
Yeah.
Jim's got hundreds of teddy bears. He's got the mascots. He's got the merry-go-round. He's got the two
Wow.
kilometer nature trail to go walk your dog. Okay, like he's got 501 things going on, Jane, that have nothing to do with used cars, but everything to do, as we learned, with building a brand,
Mm.
and a brand based on the power of story.
So you figured out long before storytelling was
Way
cool that
before.
story was the key. I love it. I love it. Okay, so
Yeah, so
you
yeah,
stumble into speaking,
right.
and at what point in your journey do you find out about the Vistages of the world, the techs of the world? When I
Right,
say tech, TEC, the executive committee, how, at what point in your career do these cross your path?
right. And that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it because Jim Gilbert, my star client and one of my best friends
Mm-hmm.
to this day, he was a founding member of his Tech Canada group.
Ah.
And so that was around, I'm going to guess, around 2006, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how, and Jim and I really latched on to some of the early Tech Canada speakers that came through, some from the US, others from Canada. And so what happened was that became for me the that was for me, Jane, that's climbing the stairway to heaven. Man, if I could somehow become a tech speaker or Vistage speaker in the United States. So
Yeah.
I'm going to guess around 2007, and our speaker friends will really appreciate knowing this. I actually auditioned for Vistage in 2008 at the
Mm-hmm.
NSA Rocks conference in New York City.
Oh, wow. I
And
didn't
I
realize they were doing that. That's
and I
cool.
bombed.
Wow.
I bombed. I want everyone watching and listening to hear this. I wasn't ready. I
Mm.
wasn't ready to scale that mountain. It was 2011,
Uh,
another 3 years later, before the window opened,
again.
where Jim's chair needed someone to fill in the next day because someone missed a flight. What he knew I wanted to do it, so
Hmm.
that's how I got. That was the baptism of fire. Can you show up in 24 hours and fill in?
Okay, so let's back up for a second because there may be some of our listeners who aren't as familiar as tech and Vistage as you and I are.
Right.
Let's talk about what their mandate is for their
Sure.
memberships, just so that they understand that when you get in front of these people, who you're getting in front
Yeah,
of.
that's a great question. Now, the way I describe it, and I'm going to be slightly metaphorical when I do this, it's like
Okay.
a secret society,
Yeah.
multimillionaire CEOs.
Like the Masons of old days.
But Jane, it kind of is in a
Yeah.
way, right? In a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you're running a $20 million company, a $200 million company, a $1 billion company,
Hmm.
who do you talk to? Who do
To
you
help you grow.
to help you grow? Who's going
Yeah.
to challenge you inside your organization?
Yeah.
So the average tech or Vistage, and we should also clarify, it was originally called Tech in the beginning when it came out of
Right.
Milwaukee in 1957. It
Then
rebranded
it
in the US to
changed.
Vistage. Yeah,
Right.
but in Canada,
It,
it's still Tech.
and these are organizations not unlike YEO. Well, I think they've
Right,
changed their name again, and NYPO and
right.
WPO. Those are also organizations that are kind of like that. So just
Yeah,
FYI, when you get in front of them, you're getting in front of people who are running multi-million dollar businesses. And that's why the opportunity is so cool, is because then you can take your business into these companies with consulting and what have you, correct?
it, Jane, you've nailed it. And so you're the way I describe it, because I get phone calls every week
Mm-hmm.
routinely from new speakers, aspiring speakers, even veteran speakers, because I've done more than 450 of these groups. I've gone almost through all of America,
Wow.
certainly all of Canada, done 2 tours with Vistage in the United Kingdom. So I really
Mm-hmm.
got the privilege of seeing this organization from a global perspective. And so
Yeah.
consequently, the way I explain it is it's the toughest audience in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They
You
are,
see a lot of speakers.
you're just another one. You're just tough. They see them every month.
Right.
So your challenge as a speaker is to stop them in their tracks with something so original, so compelling that they sit there and go, wow, we can really use that with our business. That could really help advance us, whether it's competitive advantage or what have you. And consequently, the real business opportunity, if you're a professional speaker, is if you can basically, pass the mustard test or whatever you want to call it, in
Right.
front of those guys and gals, then you're in a position where they're coming to you for whatever it is, in terms of programs or products you
Right.
offer. So basically, you're with CEO. You're not going through middle management. You're not wasting time with HR or
Right.
second or third tier managers. You're
Yeah.
right there. You're right there, nose to nose, eyeball to eyeball with the decision maker.
The buck stops there. Okay, so we've talked about what the pros are, but they are a tough audience, so let's put that down as a con. They also don't pay a lot in these groups. What would you say is the top end of the scale for, say, Vistage? What would you say is the highest end? Because I've heard lots of numbers, but I don't always believe them.
Sure. Let me give it to you. Okay. And I'm sure everyone will appreciate this if I just give it to them straight.
Sure.
Okay. They will pay you an honorarium plus your travel. So your expenses are looked after. If you're looking to make money on your Vistage or Tech Canada speaking, you're looking at the business opportunity from a flawed perspective. What you're doing is you're getting paid for business development.
It's a seed planting effort.
Totally.
And I've had some clients who I've said, go for it. And I've also had some clients who I've said, your calendar is almost full. You don't need to do that. Right. And so I've had some people who I've steered away from it because we know that Vistage will easily eat up your calendar and the fee is going to be low per engagement. So if you can sell that date for $10,000, you may not want to do it for $2,500.
You may not want to, or 1,000 or 500, but the number is not important as it is. I think, Jane, it's the philosophy
and the opportunity.
And the opportunity. So for me, those audiences represent instantly full fee engagements.
Right. And for you, it may be a book of business that, I didn't mean to say billions, a book of business that runs into the millions later on, your seed planting effort. And you may decide, okay, I'm not going to necessarily do quite as many seed planting because I've got so much back end business going on.
Right. So exactly. So I'm at the stage now, for instance, in my tech/Vistage career, where I've cut it back, where I only do 1 week a month, but like, for instance, in April, I did 6 dates in Louisville, Kentucky, because that was my Vistage week.
Okay.
And that week produced, so far, at least 4 full fee events.
Okay. Curious though, 6 dates in Louisville. Is that 6 different 6 different chapters? They have that many in one?
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, San Jose, you'll easily have 30 or 40 groups.
Okay. Interesting.
So, for example, I'm just going through in my memory banks, Jane, like I was in Edmonton not too long ago, end of June, did 5 groups in 3 days.
Okay, so 5 groups in Edmonton, and I'm kind of thinking about how big these cities are, and that's really interesting. Okay, so lots of opportunity to double up when you do go to a city. So if one tech chapter is calling you, or if one Vistage chapter is calling you, you might say, okay, I'm coming a long way. Let's get some more people on board with this.
And what the cautionary tale I want to tell, though, especially because Jane, your wealthy speaker attracts people who are getting into the business, right?
Well, we actually have speakers at all levels.
Right,
So we have speakers who are earning millions, and
right.
we have people who are just stepping into it.
So the to me the thing about Vistage, and I'm just going to use Vistage from now on as our,
Sure. Yeah.
it's this, it's understanding before you get any, what I call delusions of grandeur. Prove
Mm-hmm.
yourself first.
Okay.
Prove yourself to the community.
Yeah.
Do the onesies and twosies.
Yeah,
And
you should definitely be out there with a very busy, a robust business before you
right,
even approach them, right?
right. And here's the thing too. I look at it. I mean, you and I know we gotta run profitable, viable businesses.
Mm-hmm.
There's still too far many people who dabble in speaking, who see it as a hobby, not a business. That's one thing I've always enjoyed, Jane. You've always seen it as the business.
Mm-hmm.
So on the one hand, there's the business. On the other hand, I've also said I've heard it from Jane Atkinson, the best form of marketing is a great speech.
Yeah, that's
Is
true.
that true?
Yeah, so
And you said
true.
that. And you said that.
Yes, because one speech can turn into,
Bingo.
it could be your whole book of business for years and years to come. Glenna
Sure.
Salisbury claims one speech has been 30 years of business for her,
Right.
that it generated, about 80% of that. So that was
And
pretty
my
cool.
point to that, Jane, is I feel because the Vistage audience is so tough, the real benefit, aside from the business,
Yeah.
is you're going to get tested, you will get grilled, you will get challenged on
Right.
your material, on your ideas.
Right.
And the more you can stare into the jaws of the lion and face those challenges,
Yeah.
I think you wind up becoming a better speaker.
Let's circle back to New York just for 1 second, because
Sure.
I really want people to recognize that one bomb, one failure, one gig that does not go the way that you want it to go does not make or break a business or a career.
Right.
It's not going to be the end of the world. It probably felt that way to you in the moment, but you probably picked yourself up and dusted yourself off and got
Yeah.
back on the horse. And then a few years later, you got another chance.
Yeah. And what it was a video audition. So
Ah.
Vistage had set up a studio, and they were
I think
basically,
I remember that now. I was in New
yeah,
York. Yeah.
yeah. Mickey Williams was there,
Mm-hmm.
and I just met Mickey for the first time in June in Chicago.
Yeah.
So we finally crossed paths again. I don't think she even knows this story,
Yeah.
but I remember she was in the orientation session. I was dying to get in front of that camera, and
Mm-hmm.
Jane, I did. I did my best.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work out. I tried to follow up, and I heard the silence of rejection.
Yeah.
And it was another, like I'm not kidding. It was another 3 or 4 years. But to be honest, I wasn't ready. And I think speakers have to recognize that's one crucial element to the Vistage world is you might not be ready.
That's not unlike getting in or submitting your video to speakers bureaus before
Right,
you are ready to be working with videos.
right,
I remember once when I was working with Vince Pacenti in Dallas, he before I arrived on the scene, he had sent out a video that was okay, and to all the speakers bureaus. He had done a peppering of the market, and it took me about 3 years. So this is interesting. Recovery time 3 years is now kind of planted in my head. It took me about 3 years to overcome and to show people, wait a second, this guy is really, really good. We
right.
just didn't do it. We just didn't come across well on the video. And that's really interesting that you continued and persevered and then came back and did it again the second
Yeah,
time. Okay, so we've talked about Vistage, and we talked in the beginning about the secondary piece to this podcast is video, and
Sure.
really about how to create video. And we're going to put a video in the show notes that is your video about the Steve Jobs story, which I loved, by the way. Very, very well done.
Thank you.
Talk about how you use video in your business in general, and then we'll drill down.
Okay, that's a great, this is one of my all-time favorite subjects right now, Jane. I swear, I feel like I'm 16, 17 years old, like the kid who's onto the new technology. And the Steve Jobs one is a great, great example because I was on a Vistage trip to San Francisco. So let me give you the overarching application for everyone watching and listening today.
All right.
You are running a media company first, a speaking business second.
Okay.
Let me say that again.
Sure.
You're a media company first, you're a speaker second. Becoming absolutely fluent with this on video.
He's holding up his phone.
It's oh yeah, that's right.
Just in case.
Yeah, becoming absolutely fluent with video in the 21st century is no longer an option. It's a must, especially if you're in the speaking business, because the public sees you as a proponent of change. And so when you, thank you, that means a lot. With the Steve Jobs video is, so I'm working on a forthcoming book. It's called Big Little Legends. My video blog is called Leaders and Legends. And so on a Vistage trip to San Francisco in early June, because that's what I'm exploring content-wise, Leaders and Legends, I thought, well, geez, I'm not, and I looked it up on the map. I'm not that far away from Steve Jobs' boyhood home. Right. So I had a window. I only had the one window of time when there was that window there. So what do? I jump in the rental car. I go down to outside Cupertino. I'm at whatever the address was. I think it was 2066 Christ Drive. There's the house.
Yeah.
There's the garage. That's where Steve Wozniak built the first Apple computers. And then it's about a 10-minute drive from that garage to the massive Apple HQ over in Cupertino.
Wow.
As you saw, that's about a 5.5, I'm guessing, wasn't it? About 5.5 minute video. Mm-hmm. And there's, I think, an example of what a media company looks like in terms of this is the type of content you publish because you're looking to publish content that has actual value to it.
Right,
and
right.
Somebody out there has got to be interested in, the leadership legacy of Steve Jobs from the perspective of someone standing right outside his house.
So you actually mashed up both story and value. You told the story beautifully, and tell me about that video when you posted it. Do you post mainly on LinkedIn, and what kind of response did you get?
Sure. I'm hitting LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Okay.
And a little bit of Twitter. So the way and we can agree this, Jane, I know we can agree on this. The whole web is in this massive, constant state of flux. Mm-hmm. I think we're still in the Wild West. I think we're still trying to sort it out, to be honest. I don't think everything's landed.
No, for sure.
For today, and only today, I still see Facebook and YouTube as 1 and 1A because of the power, because of the video platform and the powerhouse that they are. And YouTube is owned by Google, which spikes search. Organic search. Okay. So for example, I've got a client in the wood products business, and the wood products business is all over the world. But if you type in anything around his particular type of wood product, Jane, he owns the first 2 pages of Google. Why? Because he's putting up YouTube videos. Sometimes these YouTube videos maybe have 29 views or 47 views, but it doesn't matter.
He owns the
space. He owns the space because what's everybody else doing? They're sitting back and they're not actively
Putting out content.
publishing original content on a consistent basis, which makes you a media company.
All right. That's really good. That's really good. And I think adding that little story twist to it as well is very helpful when you are putting out your videos. Okay, so we talk about kind of
Can I
drilling
just
down.
jump in one thing real
Sure,
quick,
sure.
only because it just happened.
Sure.
Like, we're talking happened last night, and if you
Yeah.
can see, it's on the phone, right?
Okay, yeah.
So Jane, you're not going to believe this, but you're based in London, Ontario.
Yes, I am.
And so am I.
Yes.
The great thing about video, this is why I thought about it, is I got to share this with you because you're in the same city as I am, and you might be familiar with a gas station, a mom and pop gas station named Ron Kraft Auto Care. You ever hear of them?
I see Ron all the time.
Do you?
He's my guy. That's where I go.
Really?
Yeah, that's where I go. It's on the way to golf, and I go to Ron Kraft all the time. Yeah,
right.
And they're the best at service.
They are the best.
Yeah.
And what is it that they do for their customers that no other gas station I've ever heard of that they actually do for their customers?
Well, I know them to be friendly. So they're friendly. Yeah. They do the windshield. They kind of do things that most people wouldn't do now, but it's full service, and it's very, very friendly. I'm not sure what the thing is.
But the thing that they do is they have the treats for the dogs right there at the pumps.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when we first moved to London and they got dog treats at the pumps.
Mm-hmm.
Jane, I will go out of my way to go get dog treat. I will bring Sophie and Theodore and our Beagle Mix Rescue to get gas at Ron Kraft just so they can get their dog treats. Now, why am I talking about this? Here's why. Because in 2016, I shot a video about the dog treat idea, which has skyrocketed their business.
Yes.
There's a lot of dog lovers. There's a lot of dog lovers, Jane, who go out of their way. I'm not the only one.
I'm pretty sure they might have done it before, but I was thinking that mostly it's on my way to golf, and so I don't have my dog with me. But now that you've reminded me of it, I will make a habit to take Jackson with me when I go. Yes.
Yeah. So I did a video in 2016, and that's why this is so timely, Jane. Last night, somebody from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, because I talk about the Ron Kraft story in my presentations as an example of what you can do. The customer doesn't care about petroleum. The customer cares that you care about the thing that is most precious to them. Right, which is our dogs.
Yeah.
Once we get the treat, we're hooked. It's nickel and dime marketing, but it's brilliant. Anyway, my point is this. Guy from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan sends me a Facebook Messenger request about, can you send me the link for the Ron Kraft Auto Care story?
Wow.
And my point is, this is the wonderful thing about video.
Yeah.
Unlike radio ads or newspaper, all that stuff that, like your content can live forever.
Yeah.
Jane, you're saying you like the Steve Jobs video, which I appreciate. You and I honestly don't know that 2 years from now, that somehow, somewhere, someone in a big network sees that, and that's
going to make a connection. It's going to make a connection. And it's all about being in the right place at the right time. You know, really making sure that you're the person who's known for what you do. So I love that you're out doing video. Now, this video that you did in California was a pretty big, well-produced video, but you also do shorter, less produced things, do you not? Like, what is your plan for video? Yeah,
well, actually, the one in front of Steve Jobs' house, that's one of our shorter, less produced videos.
Oh, that's funny that you say that, because I have lots of people who are just like 2 minutes, they're standing outside a venue and that's what they do. And that's good enough. I mean, that's working for people.
Our short videos, which we run every second Wednesday. So people are watching or listening. We publish every second Wednesday, original material. and then, but the actual videos that we spend more time on,
Okay.
okay, not the blogs, but we call them the program videos, the signature videos, the stuff that's got to go on the homepage.
Okay.
We're coming at this now, Jane, from a very, and this is new as of 2019.
Okay.
We're starting to see, and this is going to sound sacrilegious, and I will say it for effect, if for no other reason, Jane, just to maybe make people think a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing the impending death of the speaker reel.
And it's going to be moving more towards people just checking out your content and the ideas that you have in the form of video.
Well, speaker reels, with all due respect, are getting so ordinary. They're getting very ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting very cliche. They're getting very stock. It's the typical, here's some razzle dazzle on stage, cue the audience reaction. It's the pump up music. It's the high fives. It's the expected glowing video testimonials. And it's just highlight, highlight, highlight. The problem is, and you'll appreciate this from your point of, in your vast amount of experience, is if you're watching, planning a conference and a meeting and deciding who's going to get the 10 or 15 or $20,000 gig, after a while, a lot of it will come down to the reels. What if they all start looking the same?
Mm-hmm. Then you need a competitive advantage. And I agree with you there, but I'm going to push back, Gair, on the speaker reel dying, because I know that there are decision makers who really don't have a lot of time. And it could be that their people do it for them and they come to them and then have the idea. I think the reel is still going to be there, but I think you need to do what you're talking about on top of that. Well, because I only want to see, if I'm booking a speaker, I don't even need to see 5 minutes. I need to see about 3. And I know that there's a lot of decision makers that can make their decisions very quickly because of that. I could not do it based on the type of content that you're talking about.
Right.
So I'm going to say maybe, but not yet.
But here's where I'm going.
Okay.
What if the speaker reel is dead as we know it and it's about to be replaced by the movie trailer?
Okay.
I'm just saying, cool. That's what we've done.
Sure.
So other than our blogs, we have basically, Jane, what we call movie trailers.
All right.
3.5 minutes. And instead of the traditional speaker reel, what we've done is actually included a story arc.
Yeah.
So the meeting planner, if you're looking at highlight reel, highlight reel, highlight reel, and then you stop and see, wait a second, this one actually is telling a story, and telling a story in 3.5 minutes.
Sure.
Now that's I should have preempted.
Okay, we're on the same page about that, because I think video narrative, Chris West, I think he's doing exactly that idea.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a great idea that, adding something to the mix that allows people to say, yes, yes. That's why I'm going to lean in and say yes to this person rather than the other ones. That's good. Okay, we've come back together, Gair.
Yeah, and that's why I said from the beginning, this is going to shock people and maybe even be sacrilegious. I just think
it's just changing.
It's and here's the thing. I'm doing a breakout session at CAP's National Convention in London, and we're going to explore this deeper. I call it the evolution of video.
Okay, cool.
Right? In other words, Jane, that's what we're seeing dramatic evolution, and we as speakers have got to be prepared when the yardsticks move. What do we got to do?
I love it. And you know what? What we're talking about here is disruption.
Yes.
Why are we always doing it the way that other speakers are doing it anyway? You get into the business and you look around and you study everybody else's website, and then you go and make yours the same way. Well, often in my world, it's not exactly right to begin with. So now you're studying all these people that maybe don't necessarily have it right, and you're creating something that isn't right for yourself either. So I agree that we need to be looking at all industries when we create our marketing, and we need to rise ourselves up, I think, above the bubble of CAPS, the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, and NSA, and take a look at what all is out there, because there are so many businesses who are doing it. What is your form of having a dog treat ready when you're pumping gas?
Exactly.
What is your version of the dog treat, right?
You get it. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's exactly it. And I think the evolution of video is going to be, how can you build your speaker brand around the story, or the narrative arc that has no ending?
100%. All right, we're together on that. And let's put in a little plug for CAPS, because I'm running the pre-convention day. We're going to have David Avrin and Sam Richter there on pre-convention day, as well as myself speaking, and I think that's going to be an awesome session as well. And so if people want to know more, they can go to, I think it's capsconvention.com, or just Google CAPS Convention, and come on up and see us in our hometown of London, Ontario in December. Who doesn't want to come to London in December, Gair?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I've got a trip now booked for Wisconsin in February. I can't wait.
Woo!
But to your point, I mean, I think if you're in the business and you're serious about the business,
sure.
CAPS National Conference, NSA Conference.
And the Influence Conference is in July. That was an amazing event. Yeah.
These are important things to go to, because sometimes it's that one person you meet, or it's that one session, whether it's on the main stage or wherever, that's the thing that needed to happen to basically boost your speaking business. If this is Vistage in video, boosting the speaking business, I agree with what you said about our CAPS National Conference in London. There's going to be some. I know a little bit. If I can sneak in, I'll put in a plug for Mr. Pit Crew Challenge, Bob Parker, who's helping to organize this year's event.
Sure.
There's going to be just some fantastic programming.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So come on up and see us, and you'll see my hometown in its glory of December. It'll be a fun time. And, I've always said that I've learned everything I know. I've spent a lot of time in the U.S., so mostly at the Influence Conference, what is now known as the Influence Conference. I've been going for 30 years. And it seems as though you and I have been there together at the same time in New York. We didn't know that we knew each other, but I would say that the relationships I have built and the knowledge I have gained has been massively influenced by my speaker peers, and that's where I go to see them. So good plug for that. All right, if people want to get in touch with you, Gair, what should they do?
I'm the easiest person on the planet to find.
Okay.
Because of the unique spelling of my name. It's Gair. There's only 2 of us in Canada with that spelling.
Ah, beautiful. Gair Maxwell, is it .com?
.com. So I'm all over Facebook.
Great.
I'm easily found on YouTube. Our website is there. You'll see the movie trailer. If you go to the site, what you're going to see is that movie trailer that you and I talked about, Jane. And I don't have anything to promote or plug. I just want anyone watching or listening to realize the opportunities are wide open in this industry. But things are changing, and that's what I love what you said, Jane, about this. We are in a very turbulent time of disruption, which will frighten some, but excite others.
Yes. All right. So let's get excited, people. All right. Well, thank you, Wealthy Speakers, for listening. Thank you, Gair, for your time today. That is most appreciated. You took time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. And with that, we will say, see you soon, Wealthy Speakers. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye for now. Thank you, Jane.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed our show, you'll want to come and visit us at the Wealthy Speaker School, where we provide a proven roadmap for building your dream business. Go to wealthyspeakerschool.com. And for show notes for today's podcast, head on over to speakerlauncher.com and click on podcast. I'll see you soon, Wealthy Speakers.